apakaya chadamasya sarvadharmasvarupine Stapakaya chadamasya sarvadharmasvarupine Avataravadishthaya Ramakrishna te Namah Asato ma sadgamaya Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya Asato ma sadgamaya Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi, who have come to show us the righteous path, who have lived the life of spirituality, so that if we follow their teachings, it would be possible for us to free ourselves from all types of sufferings in the world. They have lived the life of spirituality, passed through hardships of life in the world. They have shown how in the midst of our responsibilities in the world, we should not forget to think about the divine. Let us pray to them to lead us from darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from unreal to the real, to lead us from death to immortality. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Today's topic I am speaking, Sri Sarada Devi, ideal for these times. We must remember very well that the women had tremendous potentialities to enrich our life in this world in a glorious way. Women have very important role in shaping the character. All the divine virtues are located in women. We should try to understand them try to manifest those qualities in our life, and then it would be possible to share love and beauty with everyone. So Sri Sarada Devi has shown through her simple and pure life the exemplary character of a woman. We find in her a combination of human and divine values. She has given the ideal of womanhood. As I said earlier, she sailed through poverty and hardships. But she was never shaken on account of the difficult circumstances. She never escaped her duties and responsibilities. She faced all the situations in life fearlessly. So it is very important for us to note here fearlessness, that is very essential to carry on our life courageously. She was pure, full of spiritual aspiration, self-controlled, generous, loving, truthful, patient, benevolent, and free from pride and vanity. So, when we study her life, all these qualities are well understood. Her life is the glorious manifestation of the divine qualities which Lord Krishna has enumerated in chapter 16. Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhi and so on. Satyam, Ahimsa. So many qualities are listed there. So we should strive to cultivate those qualities in our life. Then we will be able to pass through the spiritual path and we would attain immortality. Sri Sarada Devi is the personification of humility. She is free from any kind of vanity or pride. Once Holy Mother came to Dakshineshwar to see her husband, Sri Ramakrishna. So she came with her mother. Those days it was not so easy to walk through. There was no transportation facility. So the whole distance they had to cover by walking. It would take 3 to 4 days to reach the place. It was a very hard journey. But they came, finally they saw Sri Ramakrishna, and Sarada Devi was immensely peaceful and happy to see Sri Ramakrishna, who was always cheerful, whose mind was always thinking about the divine, who was like a child. So they stayed there one day. Next day, there was a person, the nephew of Sri Ramakrishna. He was a very rough person. He began to abuse Sri Sarada Devi and her mother, who had come there to see Sri Ramakrishna, and he ordered them to clear out from the place. He had no right to talk that way, to use such abusive words. But Sri Sarada Devi never uttered a word of anger. She never reacted. She never cursed. She did not become emotional or exciting on account of this. There was no trace of rancor in her heart. But they coolly decided to go back to their village from where they came from without murmuring a word. Even at that point, Sri Sarada Devi prayed to Divine Mother, "O Mother, if you bring me here again, I shall come." She put the responsibility on the Divine Mother. If she wants, then she would be able to come here and serve Sri Ramakrishna. That's all she did. In this incident, we see her perfect humility, angerlessness, uncomplaining patience, the deep tranquility within, non-injury by thought, word or deed. And we see her complete surrendering to God. Later on, Sri Ramakrishna called that nephew and said, "Look, if you insult me, nothing will happen to you. But if you insult Sarada Devi, if she at all becomes angry, nobody can save you in this universe." So Sri Ramakrishna recognized the great quality in Sri Sarada Devi, her steadiness and calmness of mind under all situations. It's a very important feature that we should note, how many occasions we become upset, lose our temper, and make ourselves miserable. These are the tests in our life, how to conduct ourselves properly. It requires tremendous mental strength, no doubt. But if we keep this ideal in front of us, it will make us easy to follow the teaching. Sarada Devi was courageous and unperturbed even under provocation. All these things are necessary for us to observe and follow it up. Nowadays we come across so many situations where we have to necessarily follow these things in our life so that we can maintain our peacefulness. She came to Dakshineshwar many times. In one of our trips, she left Jairambati, walking through the long distance to reach Dakshineshwar, where Sri Ramakrishna lived. She had gone with so many other lady friends. Everybody is walking, but they had to pass through a long and lonesome meadow. Those days, it was not very safe to walk in the night times because the robbers would come and all sorts of problems would be there. The other lady companions, they had walked forward. Sarada was walking alone. She could not walk fast. The darkness approached, but she was walking. Suddenly she heard a stern voice. Who is that walking in this darkness? Who dares to walk this way? It was a very stern voice, a very dark complexioned, stout, hefty man. Anybody in that situation would have been frightened, would have collapsed. But here we see Sarada, how she managed this situation. First of all, she was very simple and pure at heart. Her innate nature of purity and simplicity conquered everybody. She just said, "Oh Father, my companions have left me behind. Probably I am going in a wrong direction. It is quite dark, but I have to reach the place. You know, your son-in-law lives at Kali temple at Dakshineshwar. I am going to him. Will you please accompany me there? And he will certainly appreciate your kindness and show you proper courtesy." She is talking this way. And the robber came, just stood before Sarada. In the meantime, robber's wife also came there. When Sarada Devi saw another woman coming over, she immediately said, she addressed robber's wife as mother. "Mother, I am your child. You know, my companions have left me behind. It is by sheer luck that you and my and father have come. Otherwise, I do not know what I would have done. So when she addressed this way, they were completely transformed. There, the poison of evil in them was removed by these powerful, direct words of purity coming from Sri Sarada Devi. So these simple and straightforward words melted the hearts of the robber and his wife. They immediately became friendly and affectionate. And they led her up to the Dakshineshwar. They were so kind thereafter. Their whole life changed just by this one incident. How she maintained her quality, that is to be observed here thoroughly. And every woman has that potential quality in her. Only she should rise up to the occasion and act upon. Stabilization of our character is very important to exhibit our spiritual strength. There was another incident where also Sri Sarada Devi remained unperturbed, and how she acted with the presence of mind. There was a person by name Harish. He was staying in Kamarpakor, a village, the birthplace of Sri Ramakrishna, where Holy Mother was staying for a few days. This particular person, Harish, he was a devotee. But because of some problems in the home, he became terribly upset. He got into tension and tremendous restlessness in his mind. So eventually he became insane on account of the strained circumstances. So Sarada Devi was just entering the house, and this fellow began to chase her. Of course he was mad, that's a different thing. But what he would do, nobody knows. And immediately Sarada Devi ran quickly behind the barn. But this fellow followed her there too. Sarada Devi ran round and round the barn at least 7 times. 7 times she ran through, but she felt exhausted. She could run no more. She had to act upon now, whatever it is. That is the situation. She had to act decisively. So, she immediately threw him down to the ground, pressed her knees on his chest, drew out his tongue and slapped him on the cheeks. All this she did. In fact, That fellow began to gasp for breath. So we find Sri Sarada Devi showing her remarkable courage and defending herself in a very dangerous situation with remarkable presence of mind. Nowadays we see so much of insecurity wherever you go. Nobody knows what will happen because of losing all sense of values in our life. Nobody to guide us, nobody to train us, nobody to tell us, and we are not in a position to learn also. So that is the situation we are passing through now. The result is everybody has to suffer. We are in this world to live happily, peacefully, joyfully, but everything goes in the opposite way. So unless we take proper steps to rectify things going bad, it becomes worse. It becomes more and more difficult for us even to survive. Another important feature we find in Sri Sarada Devi's life is that purposelessness and laziness are totally absent in her life. Her goal is fixed, that is, to realize the divine. That is the purpose of life. We should never lose sight of that. Whatever we may do in this world, all these things must be done in such a way that we always go towards our goal, not to go away from it. And it requires remarkable zealousness on our part to exercise all our qualities in our life, exhibit them in our life properly. We have to be active in every sense of the term. Holy Mother life, if you study, she was very active from the beginning to the end of her life. She would wake up very early morning, take bath in the river every day, and spend time in long meditation, and then she would be ready for doing the duties of the world. Just 8 o'clock she was ready to do work. Once she started work, it would be completed only night at 11 o'clock. Continuously she would be working and working. But this intense activity did not cause any excuse for her to stop or to postpone her spiritual practices. The first thing she would do every day is to meditate upon the divine, to meditate upon God. And you must know she got training and instructions from Sri Ramakrishna himself. So Sri Ramakrishna was very particular that she should completely follow these instructions so that she would become ideal for all the women in this world. She proved her personality, she proved her worth through her actual life. Another important feature we find in her was that she was always trying to find goodness in everyone. She would never encourage people picking out faults at others. Sri Sarada Devi valued this virtue very much. So we find in one of her teachings how in a very simple way she would say, people all want to get peace, but they don't follow the simple virtue, that is not to look into the other's faults or talking ill of others. So we must completely put an end to these bad tendencies in us. The moment we open our mouth, we criticize people. So that is our weakness. We should get over that. As long as we criticize people, so long we will not be able to make any progress in our spiritual path. So Mother would say, don't find fault in anybody. Make the whole world your own. It is yours. In reality, no one is alien to you. No one is a stranger. All are your own. So this idea is very important for us to understand and follow it up. The same idea is expressed in different words. Swami Vivekananda, when he came to Parliament, he addressed the audience as dear sisters and brothers. Dear sisters and brothers of America. So when he said this, he felt all of them are his own. He never felt them to be strangers. No. He came there to share some of the ideas on spirituality, and he wanted to show them the meaning of real love and so on. So this is a lesson we should learn. So this message is particularly relevant to the present day world, which is ridden with suspicion, jealousy, rivalry and hatred between individuals, families, communities, nations and so on. So whatever there is goodwill, friendliness, all these things are undone by this evil of fault finding. So let us try to practice this, not picking out fault with anyone. To that extent we'll be able to maintain our peace within ourselves. In Gita, another quality is listed as the divine quality, that is Dhanam. It's called charity, benevolence, that is gifts of food, life, knowledge and wisdom. All are good. Saving one's life is superior to gift of food. Imparting knowledge is superior to saving of life. And gift of wisdom is superior to all gifts as it confers final release. Sri Sharda Devi unstintingly gifted wisdom to all who sought it. Those who had committed the worst sins, they would come to Sharda Devi for help, for solace, and she was ever ready to reform and save them out of her infinite compassion and grace. She would always help them to transform their life. There is an instance, one European lady, she came to see Sri Sharda Devi. She had just finished the worship of Sri Ramakrishna, and she was sitting in the worship room. When this lady came there, she was in great stress. She was very unhappy. She said to Holy Mother that her only daughter is dangerously ill. So she was not sure whether that daughter would survive or she would pass away. So she was pleading to Sharda Devi to save her daughter. And this European lady waited for long hours to talk to Sharda Devi. And when she came and requested this way, Holy Mother, that is Sharda Devi, looked at this lady and then said, "Well, don't worry, I will pray for you. I will pray for your daughter. She will be cured." So mother is telling like this. The lady became so happy. And she said, "Mother, you are telling she will be cured? These words have come from your mouth. Certainly she will be cured. I have no doubt about it." She was so much impressed by the purity of Sri Sharda Devi. And Holy Mother got one lotus flower and she, holding that flower in her hand, closed her eyes and looked into the image of Sri Ramakrishna and prayed for a few moments, then gave that flower to that lady. Then Holy Mother said, "Now take this flower, put it on the body of your daughter, on the head of your daughter's head, so that she will be cured of the illness." So she followed the prescription and the daughter was cured. Then she became very familiar with Sri Sharda Devi. She began to come more often, and later on Sri Sharda Devi initiated her and made her life blessed. So thus we find Sharda Devi showing kindness to everyone, whoever comes to her. Many people would come. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna had trained a band of disciples. Swami Vivekananda, Brahmananda and others. Each one was great in his spiritual achievements. But then, when people would come for guidance, they would observe, they would watch, they would select, and then they would give initiation and instruct them. The reason was, as soon as the people would come and stand before them, they would immediately find out what all the sins they might have committed, and they would be horrified seeing those things, and they would hesitate to initiate them. They would say, it is beyond our power. We can't digest the poison of these people. So what they would do? They would simply shunt them towards Holy Mother. All those people would come to Sarada Devi. Without questioning, she would accept and she would help them. She would initiate them. She was literally like a mother to everyone, whoever it is. Swami Premananda, one of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, said, we are sending to the Holy Mother the poison we could not ourselves take. She is giving refuge to everybody, accepting the sins of everyone and digesting the same. That is the spiritual power she manifested. And she showed in her life that it is possible to practice spirituality doing all the duties and responsibilities in our life in this world. She was very good at austerity. Forgiveness is austerity. Sri Sarada Devi sometimes would say, if I come in contact with filth, I only chanted the name of the God a few times. When I did that, I would feel purified. Then she made remarks. The mind is everything. It is in the mind alone that one feels pure and impure. That feeling of purity and impurity comes only in the mind. So the purpose of practicing spirituality is to purify the mind. Once the mind is purified, free from jealousy, hatred, etc., they are the impurities. If the mind is free from jealousy, hatred, anger, and so on, then that mind will be able to reflect the light of the Spirit. Then one would be able to experience the divine. So, one should make one's own mind guilty, then alone one can see other man's guilt. So does anything ever happen to another if you enumerate one's faults? It only injures you. So, Mother said, I won't see anybody's faults. If a person does a trifle for me, I try to remember even that. So like that, Mother would always forgive whatever the people might do and try to help them. Sometimes the devotees would come and touch her feet so that their body become pure, etc. Once a devotee came and he forcefully struck his head against her feet. It caused her pain, but the devotee's intention was the Holy Mother would remain on account of that all the time him, so that it would be blessing for him. And another devotee came, he offered flowers